Well, hello friends, I'm David Vos. Hope you're having a great day. I'm having a wonderful day here in Texas, and, well, better than yesterday. Want to tell you about a few things that's been happening. To start the show today, though, I want to say that what our president just tweeted on the Twitter really filled my heart with hope. I get these little things here and there that fills me up with hope. A lot of you might not be following this. I mean, the politics and the news like I am. I mean, I literally watch the news every day, and I don't want to. It's awful. You can make the argument that it's all propaganda. We shouldn't watch the television at all. And that's true if you have children. I wouldn't let them watch television. If you do, you're being very foolish. Unless you're training them how to distinguish, and you're saying, okay, we don't watch these programs because it's just propaganda and it's not entertainment. But, you know, if you begin to teach them what's going on with our rights and this political and spiritual war that we're going through, then you might want them to sit down and watch the news with you as you explain the propaganda that's coming forward. Because, you know, look, true, I wouldn't want to subject my children to all this stress and worry. It'd be like if you're somewhere hunkered down because we're about to go into a huge war, and you're down in the basement or the bunker, and you're saying, oh, the children shouldn't be put through this stress. So we won't tell them that there's a crisis and we're about to be destroyed. Well, let's tell the children we're going down to have a fun time in the basement, and we're all going to play Parcheesi. See, let them just think everything's wonderful, and then when the lights go out, they were happy. Well, that's one way to do it. But I think if you have children that you respect as human beings, you get to really know them. You begin to, even children, you begin to realize that they're human beings, and they're learning, and they're capable of understanding. Nobody should go through this kind of stress that we're going through in this world. Not even the parents, okay? But we have to go through it. And we have to learn how to deal with it. And I think our children need to learn how to deal with this world, to recognize that this is just propaganda. Show the children that these aren't really spontaneous riots in the street, that there's an agenda, and teach them that we don't want to get involved in that, and show them what they're saying. So they're able to distinguish it as they grow up, and then when they get 18 years old or whatever and leave the house, that they're not, oh, wait, let me see what's on television. And then they get sucked into it and they start thinking, my father and mother were wrong. The news says that they're wrong, and and so you've got to really, I think, let your children be exposed to this ridiculousness as well. And in my case, I feel an obligation to know exactly what's going on, not only because this is what I do. I am doing commentary on the news and stuff, and of course I've got to know what's going on. But also because I personally am anxious to find out if we're going to be alive in a few more months, or whether perhaps we're all going to just be jailed. Because that's what's coming down the pike. If this coup stands, if the elite and what they're doing, if it stands, and they're able to convince all these children and the minorities that somehow maybe could reach to a place where they're above the, they're always taking these polls and saying, oh, well, 51% doesn't like Trump. Okay, but isn't it interesting that 51% of the people in this country are either illegal aliens, children that really have just been propagandized for years, being told that, oh, we should all be socialists, right? Oh, I want my money, right? I need my welfare, and it's not fair, and, women should be men, and if they want to be, and some girls are born boys, and they're just taught all kinds of propaganda insanity. How do you expect them to be able to withstand all this propaganda, because you didn't teach them as a parent? Well, evidently your parents didn't teach you. They just let you go out and you start thinking, oh, well, I'm a transgender now. Okay, tomorrow I'm going to dress up like a puppy. You think I'm kidding? There are people that are literally putting horns on their head surgically. It's kind of like, whacking off your wiener so you can be a girl. But they're putting horns on their head and scales and tattooing green all over their body so they can pretend they're some sort of a lizard or something. This is actually happening. it is not just a form of insanity, it is the definition of insanity. I hate to disagree with you, Mr. Einstein, but the definition of insanity is not doing stuff over and over again. That's not the definition. That's just one form of insanity. And I think that's what we've been doing here in this country. We just keep doing the same stupid, ignoramus crap and hearing the same crap over and over again. So yeah, we're insane in that, under that definition. But the real definition of insanity is doing absolutely local things. Crazy, ignorant, hurtful, damaging, crucial stuff that is completely, just like saying that 2 and 2 is 3. Or saying somehow, oh, well, these airplanes that are flying around the earth, they're not really doing it. It's just a big conspiracy and the earth is flat. Now that's crazy. Oh, well, there's a wall. And you can't go any farther than this big wall down at the end of the flat earth. That's an iceberg. Come on, wake up. Use your noggin. That's a freaking iceberg. And there's a reason why it busts off in sort of these, will look like a wall. It keeps busting off and cracking at this one sort of lateral parallel because it's warmer there and it melts and then it busts off. So it makes a wall. That's an iceberg. It's no big conspiracy, my friends. My goodness. So yes, in a sense, a lot of stuff that's on YouTube and the media, it is lies and propaganda. Just like a lot of stuff you learn in church is propaganda and lies. However, it's not a matter of stopping free speech. It is a matter of allowing all speech so that we can let the truth ring true. If you stop people who believe the earth is flat from putting their information on YouTube, you're not going to stop people from believing the earth is flat. You're just going to confirm to them that they don't have any rights and you're bullying them and there's going to be rebellion. However, if you allow them to say whatever they want to say, then somebody like myself can go on and explain why the earth is actually round. And then you can decide for yourself. Shouldn't you be allowed to decide for yourself? Just because I say the earth is round doesn't mean it is. But I have the right to say it. And they have the right to say it what they want. And then you have the right to decide. But you see, that's another problem. None of this that's going on in the social media is really about your right to speak. I mean, I think the elites want us to just babble and, carry on. And remember, JFK probably became president because of the advent of television. If it hadn't been for that, we would not have had that wonderful president. But you see, because of the advent of truth and expose, we made the decision. And we said, we want that man. He's got honesty in his eyes. I see something in his eyes and in his voice, and I know he's sincere, and I know he loves us. And if you watch the stuff that JFK was saying just before he was assassinated, you'll find out that he was trying to take these elite ones down. Okay, I don't want to get into that right at this moment. I might talk more about that in the rest of the video, but same thing happened here. Trump probably became president because of social media. If it weren't for social media, he would not have become president. And so that's why they want to take this thing down. The elite don't really care if we talk about the earth being flat because they think that's great. That would confuse the crap out of us. They don't care. Oh, those mountains are trees. They're not mountains. Right. We get a whole bunch of people who go around out there to start, wow, you got to watch this video. We found out that the moon is made out of Swiss cheese. Oh my God. Look, that's crazy. And I don't know why people would believe it, but it's because they're hungry. And, after a little while, people realize, wait a minute, that's not true. Okay? But that we went to the moon, no, that's a lie. And people can see through it. So let it go and let people say what they want. What's bothering me is what's going on right now, even on Fox News. I just watched that morning program with, like, he's a economist or something. And he's got a panel, and he's talking about this new tweet that the president tweeted. And I'm going to tell you about that. That's what brought me hope. That's what I started off saying at the beginning of this video. It brought me a lot of hope because the president said that what the social media is doing is only against conservative voices to silence the conservative voices that elected him. Because they know that the November elections Everything hangs on it, friends. Everything. Because, you see, this has been going on for years and years and years. Somebody maybe gets through the cracks and wins. Because truth will always win. But when one family owned everything in the world, they have all the money and all the power, they can pull the strings. They see, uh-oh, something got through there. I saw a cockroach coming through that one little spot there in the wall. So then they can go over there and get some silicone and you know, put some poison in there and, you know, and repair that hole in the wall, get rid of the cockroaches. See, doesn't mean that cockroaches aren't going to come in, but the elite are watching, and they think you're a cockroach. And if you come onto the media and you start some new, you know, truth, and people go, wow, you're waking us up, this is true, they'll come over there and stop it. Okay? What they really care about is people exposing them, the enemy. Naming the enemy specifically, explaining how they are the enemy, and telling people, explaining why Donald Trump ought to be president. Explaining why we've got to do everything we can to make sure that people who like Donald Trump and his agenda control the House and the Senate. Because this has been going on for a long time. What happens is something always comes up that's good. But every 2 years they got more elections, and they control all the money so they can put all these billions of dollars into propaganda and television ads and stuff, and they can get the people in that they want. You know, Joe Blow down here, he's a great guy, but nobody knows he's running for president. Nobody knows he's running for Senate or for Congress. So he never gets in. He doesn't have any ads. And if he did start making some headway, just because he went out and started knocking on people's doors and getting the megaphone, getting out in the street, you know, bypassing public social media because they took him down, well, then they just come out and say somebody said that 20 years ago he dated an underage girl, or he, you know, they'll just make up some things and slander the guy and plaster it all over the media saying, oh, well, yeah, but there was a genuine claim that he did something. So, you know, as long as we don't know, he's under a cloud of suspicion, we can't let him become the next senator or congressman. So therefore, they convince enough of you to say, no, we can't do that. Because, my goodness, 30 years ago, he might have went out with an underage girl when he was only 19. Oh, he's got to be bad. Oh, we just hit that and drive it. I mean, how do people sit drooling in front of the television just thinking, oh my God, a 19-year-old went out with a 17-year-old 30 years ago. Oh, they're terrible. We got to put them in prison. How does this happen? Oh, Matt Lauer might have asked somebody on the set 20 years ago whether she wanted to go on a date. Oh, that doesn't happen. No, people don't flirt with girls and say crude remarks and slap them on the butt. You know, that doesn't happen. Remember when you were in school and maybe in high school? Maybe you were, you know, 17, 16 in high school and you went under the bleachers and made out with somebody. Really? Is that moral? I don't know. That's kind of human nature, isn't it? But you see, oh, once you cross that line, now it's illegal. Oh, we can't have that. It's illegal. So this is what's tearing us apart. But I am encouraged and I'm hopeful because the president knows what's happening. And when he starts tweeting the way he does, the way he is right now, I know that he's going to take this seriously. Because I was waiting to find out. You know, they got rid of Alex Jones and not only the social media platforms, but now the FCC has taken his radio show down. I just looked on YouTube to see if I could find Alex Jones, and he's completely gone. He's not on YouTube anymore, except for people like RT or Fox News or whatever might have them on or talk about him, but that's it. He's not on. His channel is not on YouTube anymore. It's completely taken down. They wiped out all his videos on every platform, and now the FCC, coincidentally, it has nothing to do with this, of course. I mean, this is something that's been a serious problem for a long time, and just coincidentally happened at the same week, you know, that we did that. But now we've taken his radio show down, right? So he doesn't even have, so he has no way to get out his voice, his opinion. And what's bothering me is that you go on Fox News, and I said this before, but every one of them will sit there in their pious little stance with their, you know, hand under their chin and kind of look and stare into the camera and say, well, Alex Jones was a bad person. Don't get me wrong, I don't agree with Alex Jones. Because he said that maybe the police were doing some bad things to the people, and maybe the economy could collapse, and maybe there's an elite group of people who are running everything, and maybe 9/11 was just a conspiracy. And maybe, George Norrie says exactly the same thing day in and day out, but he's controlled opposition. Glenn Beck, he can say all kinds of conspiracy theories, get away with it. I think he's questioned 9/11 and all these things, but he gets away with it because he's working for the elite. He's controlled opposition, but they don't like Alex Jones because he is independent. Do you believe now that Alex Jones is not in on it with them? I don't think so. So I am so appalled that right at the moment now, because it's just breaking, you see all the little puppets, even on Fox News, they got a little hand up their back and they're saying what they're supposed to say. Now, many of them are more conservative types of people, and they're going to say more conservative things. They have, they're a little bit more free to believe in real freedom. But at the same time, they've also been conditioned over years and years and years to think that, well, Bush is a conservative, right? But it was all propaganda, controlled opposition. They're confused. And so in the last few years, they've been taught, well, yeah, we have free speech, but we're not allowed to say the government's bad. Oh, that when I want to lose my paycheck. So they're still scared to say anything. We've got a couple of people out there that are really not scared. I think Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham do pretty well. They're speaking out a little bit, but I still think Tucker Carlson's unaware of the scope of this. But I think he's waking up. And of course, he's probably not allowed to say anything and everything he wants to say. He's got to be careful. But I think he's waking up. Rush Limbaugh's starting to wake up too. Remember, he was always on the conservative bandwagon with the Beltway Republicans. And, come on, he's been a great voice, but again, he might be controlled opposition. But remember, these guys are getting older, and they're starting to notice that, hey, our leader, Donald Trump, is speaking out. And he's starting to wake them up, and they're like, wait a minute, the emperor has no clothes. And they're starting to wake up, and they're like, whoa, this is true. Remember when we used to say that free speech is free speech, period? You have the right to say anything you want except fire in a crowded room? Or, incite people to violence. That's it. Everything else is free speech. And then they keep repeating this crap about, that Facebook and YouTube is a private organization. No, it is the satellite in the air that you, the people, the United States of America, we paid for with our tax dollars. We made the thing called NASA that put that up there. It is ours, the people's. We gave it to Google, but so what? It was wrong to do that in the first place because they were running the government through the CIA. Remember, the FBI and the CIA, they're not elected officials, and they're being run by the elite. That's why they've made this thing called classified information. That means that whatever they're doing, you don't get to know, because it's behind the scenes, secretive. It's a takeover of the world. They've been going slowly. Remember what I said? JFK, just before he died, said we are being ruled over by a secret society under some kind of oaths, and it is repugnant, he said, to society. And it's got to stop. And he was literally doing things to stop it. He was going to issue money to the people and bypass the Federal Reserve, which is what got the world by the gonads. And they ain't going to have it. That's why they set up the assassination. Now, I want to tell you, if you want proof that the CIA and the FBI, which I'm sure most of you know, but this is worse than just knowing that they're corrupt. Oh, buddy, they're not just corrupt, they are the enemy. The one way that the enemy is getting to us is through the media on one hand, constant propaganda, but they've also got a way to control the Senate, the Congress, and the presidency by way of the secret, huge, megalithic society called the CIA. It's kind of like the KGB, but it's here in America, and it's spying on you. It's literally taking away your rights. And with that, along with the propaganda in the media, they're able to do anything they want. And so what they did was they set up a secret assassination of John F. Kennedy. I guarantee that they're lying about the fact that George W. Bush, Sr., was in the CIA at that time, in 1963. A way to explain how high up he was, because remember, he became the director of the CIA afterwards. But think about this Brennan, John Brennan, and then you got people under him like Clapper and Orr, McCabe, and these people. They were like the number 1, number 2, number 3 people, number 4 person. And they would take assignments. These assignments were basically covert operations to destroy us, the people, and take over the world. That's what their assignments were. One assignment could be, getting ISIS going so they can murder and behead Christians and start propaganda and then bring terrorists over. Are we going to funnel guns? Or, this is the stuff that they're doing, and we're like, oh, it's all classified. Oh, it's probably for the best, right? We don't need to know, right? It's none of our business. They got our backs, right? How do we know they got our backs? Well, we've now found out, wake up people, that the people that had our backs, they murdered. So, now this is something you probably have never heard before, friends. And I got to be very, very careful about how I say this or what I say. Because, you see, I am risking my life to tell you the truth. Because, like I said, I am doing more investigation and sitting down watching the news and, doing this so you don't have to sometimes go this deep. But I'm letting you know stuff that, now I guarantee, when I say something on here, I'm not just telling you my opinion. This is information that you could find if you went out looking for it. But there was a man who was arrested just a few minutes after our president, JFK, died and was murdered. There was two men who were arrested. One of them was a CIA operative. And why would they arrest a CIA operative? Because he was dressed in clothes and he was, participating and supervising the assassination. But later on, they let him go because they were told, hey, the sheriff's department didn't want to let him go. They didn't understand what was going on, but they were told, you got to let this guy go. But there was another person there that they arrested. They never told us. They won't allow us to know his name. But they said that he was called the oil man from Houston. Okay, now that's just a little code word. They could have called him anything. Some guy in the street, they could have said his name, or they could have said the guy in the brown hat, or anything. But they said he was the oil man from Houston. All right, well, there's very few, I guarantee, oil people from Houston that was in Dallas that day, which we have now found out that George W. Bush was in Dallas. He made a phone call. And guess what? He made a phone call to who? The FBI. Because in minutes after the assassination, or seconds, he made a phone call to the FBI, probably saying, operation finished. Kind of like 007, right? Completed the operation. They arrested him and then let him go, and we never did find out who the oil man from Houston was. Of course, we know that George W. Bush is the oil man from Houston and was supervising. From other information that we can find, and you can look all this up, you'll find that we can basically prove, putting all the pieces together, that George Bush was a high-up official. He didn't just become director of the CIA spontaneously. He had worked his way up for years. Many of these career FBI people were there for years and years and years. So, 30 years is nothing to be in the FBI and then finally get to the place of director. This is what John Brennan did and Comey and all the rest. And this is what George Bush did. He was literally in on the operation. I've got a clip where George Bush Sr. is talking about the guy who killed JFK, and he just somehow uncontrollably thinks it's so funny that our president had his brains, blown out in the back of the car, and he starts laughing.
Time and again, he would step forward and keep his promise, even when the dark clouds of political crisis gathered over America. After a deluded gunman assassinated President Kennedy,
And I think the reason why he started laughing at that moment is because he was thinking about the irony of the fact that he's the president now, and he's the one who did it, and yet he's talking about the ones who did it as though they were bad because it's all propaganda, and he's laughing like, ha ha, I got away with it. That man's evil. It takes a really special man, a really special evil man, to do something so horrid and evil and laugh about it. To be so calm and make everybody think he's just calm and... come on. A crazy guy, if he's really crazy, he's going to act crazy all the time. But an evil person can act like they're the most wonderful person you've ever known, and you will believe they're a great person, and they can lie to you diabolically and get away with it. So that's what was going on. They got rid of our president then, and now they're about to get rid of our president now. And so John Brennan, who was the director of the CIA when President Trump was elected, and the way that they decided to take Trump out, as opposed to the way they did it with JFK, was they got some people together like McCabe, Andrew McCabe, Bruce Orr, and James Comey and stuff like that. And they got together and they made up some false allegations. They didn't think they'd ever get caught because they thought Hillary Clinton would win and they'd throw it all under the rug. But they had to stop him at all costs. And they thought, well, if they did lose, then they're going to lose anyway. So they're going to go ahead and do everything they can, illegal. They're going to use all the powers available to them. But somehow the people came out because of social media. And we elected Donald Trump. But they had started this big scam to try and bring him down. It's still going on. And this is why our president is beginning to take away people like John Brennan's ability to have classified information. Now, in the long run, it doesn't mean anything. Because in order to really help, we've got to get rid of all of this classified, undercover, secret, evil stuff. But our president can't just, with one foul swoop, he's got to win the battle. They control the media. He's got to do something here and there to start taking them down. And so he took away the number one guy who was the one who started this whole false witch hunt against him. And the rest of them are running scared. Because they know that if he holds the House and the Senate in November, they're all done. It's over. I promise you, friends, Donald Trump has shown his willingness to put these people in jail. He's shown his willingness to take away their classified status. He's taken down these people the best he can, but he doesn't have enough authority yet because there's still a possibility that they can organize enough people to go out, whether illegally or with illegal aliens or whatever, get them to go out and somehow win the House or the Senate back. Even just winning the House and keeping the Senate means that we're not going to get any of this done. Because if Pelosi or anyone else who runs the Democratic Party takes over that party, then they control the chairman on these investigative bodies, and that means there's no more investigation. Well, they're going to continue to investigate Donald Trump, I guarantee, and they will bring up impeachment. But here's the deal. Once they get a little bit more power, then the Republicans in the Senate will start turning against them. People like the guy that leads the Senate now, he probably doesn't like Trump either, but he's kind of being restrained because it looks like the people want Trump to succeed, so he's got to walk a fine line. But as soon as they gain back the Congress, he'll say, all of us Beltway Republicans like John McCain and stuff that really doesn't like the president, we're going to jump in there and say, yeah, we're going for impeachment. All they're going to do is say, oh yeah, that tweet, that was enough to do it, man. He finally stepped in it. Trump said a bad word. Oh, because he's vulgar. We're going to impeach him because he's vulgar. Never mind the fact that everything that's been going on in the government that he's trying to take down hasn't just been vulgar, but it has been against your very right to breathe. He is standing up for you, black, yellow, green, or white. Friends, you've got to stand behind this president because if they can take down the conservative voice, he's not going to get the House and the Senate. And that's what they're trying to do. And that's why I'm so hopeful. Because our president said it is wrong. And listen, Donald Trump knows that he's got to do something before November about this. Because a lot of us don't realize that they've taken so many of the conservative voices down. They're not telling you that on Fox News. They don't talk about me or Stefan Molyneux or anybody else. They're only talking about one person. Like it's only happening to one person. Or maybe it happened to a senator and that's it. It's not a big deal. They're not letting you know that across the board, go onto YouTube and go on there and look, across the board, anyone conservative is being taken down unless you're the controlled opposition like George Norrie or Glenn Beck. Then they'll allow you to talk about it, but only if they can control the talk. And so those are the kinds of people that are told, okay, you go on there and say, oh yeah, we need free speech, but Alex Jones was a bad person. Oh, he was bad. Oh, he was bad. Think about it. Okay, you minorities out there, do you really think they're on your side because they're going to give you a little bit of welfare? They're only doing that for your vote. And then once they get your vote, they're going to terminate everything that you love. Once they get the power, they're going to terminate you. It's much better that you vote for your own freedom and not for handouts. It's much better that you wake up and understand they're not for you. They're not on your side. It's better to have free speech across the board. It's not true that black people hate white people. It's not true that white people hate black people. That's what they want you to believe. They're inciting division and hatefulness. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and cut it off there. I'm going to get another video, and I'll put it on my other channel. So please go to the other channel and watch that one, because it's going to be very, very important, and perhaps even more important than this video, and more interesting. But I really need people to go over to and subscribe to the Autumn Votes channel, because I'm not getting any monetization on this one, and who knows how much longer I'm going to get it on the other one. But I really need your support, friends, so go ahead and subscribe on the other channel. I'm going to go ahead and go. We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a great day.